All right, Zach. Right now, man, currently you're riding this three-fight winning streak. Could you explain to me, like, what's behind the three-fight winning streak? What do you think are the key changes that you've made?
I mean, I've always done well on the regional level. I think I belong in the UFC. I really don't think anybody on the regional level can beat me. So I here I am fighting a UFC vet in my next fight. So a step up in competition. Um, but I think the weight class change is a big thing. I wish I would have stayed 185 my whole career. So that's kind of been the whole point of this whole thing was, I was just kind of treading water in the UFC at 170, win loss, trading off. And, I really think the 185 weight class is going to be best for me. And I want to give that a shot before the UFC would be willing to let me go up in weight class. I had to go back to the regional level and prove myself that, I can compete at a high level at that weight. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm on a three-fight win streak, and I'm gonna make it four.
Cutting down to 170 and while you were in the UFC, were there some episodes where you really had a tough time, maybe during the weight cut or even just like in the fight where you had moments where you're like, man, this weight cut is just really, having adverse effects.
Yeah, the Kunamoto fight that I had in New Zealand, that was a brutal weight cut. I took that on 3 weeks notice about, and I was walking around pretty heavy, and with the time travel and everything, such a long flight like that and everything, it was really tough. I was definitely feeling it in the third round, and you know I won that fight still, but that's a fight that I was definitely feeling it for.
How does that feel though in the fight? Like someone like me would never know because we have not fought, and to be in a middle of a fight where you're like in survival mode, but your body just isn't working the way you want it to.
Yeah, it's kind of just like being sick. You know what I mean? Where say you got the flu and you really need to get up and go to the bathroom or something like that to throw up or whatever, but your body just is like not working with you. It's kind of that feeling. And part of that, of course, is just like, yeah, a lot of people that are inexperienced may feel that way too, just because of the adrenaline. But like at that point in my career, that I had that dialed in. It was just the difference in the preparation because I only had the 3 weeks, and starting at such a high weight, like it was definitely different than other fights.
Going through that, can you build off that mentally? Because that's probably what got you through it, right? Is your mind.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the thing that gets you through a lot of this in the sport. I mean, there's always going to be setbacks, injuries and stuff that come up, or fights that fall through, and this sport plays with your head a lot. So I guess if you're around the sport for a long time, you just kind of grow to have some calluses, I guess, on your mind, and it toughens you up.
Yeah, the calluses, man. The mental calluses, right? That's like something that every fighter needs to build, right? You can't. It's not like after 10 fights you have it. You need to have a bunch of experience, right?
Yeah, and we see it all the time. I'm a coach as well, and somebody can walk through the door and have the most talent you've ever seen, like the most athletic person, and maybe they even have like a combat sports background. Maybe they're a D1 All American wrestler, but yeah, if you can't deal with adversity well, it's going to be hard to have a long career in the sport. Injuries are going to happen. You're going to have some of those fights, hopefully not, but it happens where you're even winning the fight and then you get caught in something and you get a loss. And a loss is a really big deal in our sport. You've got to build all the way back up. Probably take you a year or two just to get back to where you were before that loss. And a lot of people say they've been really good at sports their whole life. They've been winning and winning, and they start out their amateur career and they're winning, and then they take their first losses as a pro, and it really affects them. They have a hard time. Like it shatters their confidence. Like all of a sudden, they're just not the same fighter in there anymore because their confidence was shook. So Yeah, it takes a lot of, dealing with adversity to, I think, be successful.
Yeah, you see some guys, in other sports, they're like, all I do is win. That's all I do. All I know is winning. And you're like, go fight. You know what I mean? Like, go fight, and you'll find out that that could like a loss can really have a PTSD in a way, right? On some fighters.
For sure, even in the practice room too. I mean, like, okay, so like, yeah, wrestling is like that discipline, so you can get those guys that like the Kale Sanderson that goes like undefeated, or you can get the Floyd Mayweathers in boxing. When you start to mix all those together, you have so many variables, anything can happen, and then all of a sudden, yeah, you take a loss or two and you're not used to losing, it can really affect you. I think even in practice, like if it's important to have those successes in the gym to help grow your confidence for when you go into the fight, if like, but also at the same time, you can't, if you're far and beyond the best person in the gym, then you're not getting pushed, right? So there's like that fine line, there's that happy medium in the middle where you need to be pushed and humbled once in a while, but then also at the same time, you can't be the worst person in the gym just constantly being the nail that's getting hammered because your confidence and everything is just going to be shot to nothing, so
Yeah, I'm working on this project, and I'm going to be embedded with a fight team for 6 months with a pro fight team. And that's my biggest fear right there. What you're talking about, man, is going in there and just being the nail over and over and over, and probably be on the verge of probably quitting, and in a way, it kind of drives me a little bit too, because think about it, I'm a pretty big guy. I'm like probably 85 kilos, which is like 100 and around 180 pounds, right?
yeah.
So going in there and like sparring somebody that's a flyweight, that's trained for 10 years, that could mess you up in the mind, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So it's good that going into it that, you're probably gonna have to deal with some hurdles when you first start. And being prepared for that, we teach a lot of classes for like a local college here in Milwaukee, and some big gym guys will come in and they want to, try jujitsu or take some MMA classes, and they just get humbled like real quick, tapped out like 7 times in 5 minutes by like somebody half their size. And some people are like, wow, this is so cool. I need to learn this. Like, I'm hooked. And then some people are like, ooh, you can just tell that like it was a paradigm shift in their head and they don't like that. They don't like that dose of reality that they just got. And then you never see them again. You know what I mean? So, um, knowing that you could deal with that is definitely going to help you out to keep grinding and keep being consistent day in day out, knowing that, hey, maybe not today I'm going to get it, but maybe next week I'll get out of a position that I was getting caught with last week. And then you just keep making those small improvements. Next thing you know, it's been 6 months, and you're tapping out the new guy left and right, and you're like, oh wow, so
Yeah, I started jujitsu like that, like back years ago when I went to this school where it was just everybody was like a blue belt or purple belt, or they had like there were kickboxing champions that are trained jujitsu now. So when I went in there every week, I was just getting smashed on, and so I think that calluses my mind a little bit to be prepared for going into MMA, because MMA is a totally different thing, right?
yeah, for sure, for sure. um and your jujitsu style and everything can kind of play a part into that too. I've always had like since the day I started taking Brazilian jiu-jitsu was for fighting. So although I practiced my guard a lot and things like that for if I were to be there, a lot of my game is it's not very sports jiu-jitsu. It's like American jiu-jitsu, I guess people call it now. It's top heavy, wrestling type of focus. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I gotta learn that too, because the proper jujitsu for MMA, you know what I mean? Because when you're in the gi, you kind of get comfortable, like, oh, let me roll on my back for 5 straight minutes, you know what I mean? Because you're not getting punched in the face, so I gotta
yeah,
make some adjustments.
one of the big thing, because I coach, I instruct, if we're going over in gi jiu-jitsu class, a De La Hiva series, like I kind of need to like refresh my mind about like some of that stuff. And I need to show it in class so that, some people that play jujitsu and stuff can have a lot of success with it. But I personally never ever play that position because I don't want it to be in my head at all because I don't have time to think when I'm in a fight. It's just whatever muscle memory I've built up, I need to go to. So if someone's standing over me trying to control my ankles and they're looking to land big bombs, like I don't want to be looping my foot around their lead leg and going into a De La Hiva series. I think that that's just going to get me damaged really badly on my back, So so say like if I just did jujitsu, that'd probably be a position in a series that I'd get good at and I'd practice. I'd never practice that, because I'm doing jujitsu for MMA. So maybe in that position, I'm doing hook sweeps or I'm sitting up into single legs, that kind of thing, rather than sitting there and playing De La Hiva.
And as a coach and fighting, actively, do you pull back more nowadays compared to in the past when you actually get into like a training camp preparing for a fight?
Um, yeah, I'm just trying to think back. Well, yeah, I mean, back it was, a lot of sparring and stuff. I don't, when I'm outside of camp, I don't like really spar. I'll do jujitsu class, my strength and conditioning. I do a lot of kickboxing drilling, a lot of transitional drilling. So like a lot of people, they'll go to kickboxing class and then they'll go to their wrestling class. And then I think where the sport is going is in the transition between the disciplines, so I drill a lot of strikes and takedown entries. This takedown entry doesn't work because the person does this. I go to this. I just build up my check down list like over and over and over and over. And I don't need to hard spar all the time. Like this is my 35th fight. I've been at this is my 13th year competing. What am I going to get out of that? 3 months away from a fight potentially, like nothing. So when a fight does get booked, just to make sure I get my timing back and I see those fast strikes coming at me, and I get that intense like muscle confusion where I'm going from fast twitch striking to maybe like an isometric hold and a grappling clinch and then back to striking. Yeah, then I'll get back into my sparring, but I still only do that once a week leading up to a fight.
And this fight, man, you got coming up, Kyle Stewart, like you said earlier, UFC veteran. Thoughts on this matchup, man? I feel like they're doing a good job at XMMA, man, putting these fights together.
Yeah, they are. I still don't know, who owns the promotion or like who's backing it or what's going on. But yeah, I know that they're having their fourth event. They're putting a lot of vets on there and some name guys and stuff. Actually, when I made my UFC debut, Dotson was the main event, I believe, against Lineker. So now I'm back. He's the main event. And here we are again. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, a lot of name guys. I've been paying attention to them as a promotion since they started, and I've watched an event before of theirs and all that. So it'll be fun to compete for them and meet everybody and see what this promotion's all about.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like there's more eyes on it because of that reason. Rather than like a local LFA show compared to that, there's more guys more known, more uh what is it? Attraction, right? The names attract. So yeah, and it gives you the opportunity to face off against Kyle Stewart. And what do you think about the matchup?
I like the matchup. He trains at a gym that I used to like cross train with routinely. So I know probably whoever's going to be coaching him in his corner. I probably know I'm gonna know them, say hi to him and stuff like that. So I know he's training at a good gym, good training partners, good coaching. Um, I don't know. I like the matchup. I don't see anything that sticks out to me that's like anything I haven't seen before. I know he's going to be tough. I know he's a good striker. I know he's practicing all the different disciplines, and he's going to be on top of his game. And I just feel confident. I feel like I've beat guys better than him before, but I don't think he's ever beat anybody as good as me. So I don't. Those are just facts, you know. Like I'm not trying to talk shit or anything. I'm just that's just the way it is, you know. So
Yeah, no doubt. And at middleweight, how different do you feel? How different have you felt in the cage the last couple of fights?
way different, you know. Way like I mean, when I kick, I still got my legs under me, you know, instead of just like my legs are were always tired at 170, like in the warm up room, from cutting all the weight, and then um, you know, I just get skinny and I lose like all my power. You know what I mean? So like when I kick now, it hurts people, and I can take punches way better. I haven't been affected. I fought a tank of a puncher last July, and you know, I feel like my chin is really strong. You know, I got my brain's hydrated when I'm fighting, and my neck and my face doesn't get all sunken in. You know, I got some weight and stuff to like take some damage, and I got some weight and some power to deliver the damage. You know what I mean? So yeah, I feel great.
Yeah, man. It seems like everything's
Now,
rolling.
like even in the gym, I'd rather fight a 220-pound guy rather than like some of our best 45ers. You know what I mean? Like they're so quick and they never get tired. And I'm just like, will you just stay right where you are? Damn it. Like, fuck. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't like fighting, like to cut all that weight and to diminish yourself just to fight a faster, quicker guy that doesn't slow down. It doesn't make sense to me, you know. I'd, yeah, the bigger weight class, they got a lot more power and strength, and you can't. But you know, that's what my technique is for. You know, if at 170 I could just blast through people on a takedown, okay, well maybe at 185 I can't do that. Maybe my first initial takedown entry isn't going to work out that well, and then I got to go to number two or number three. But you know, that's what my technique is for. So
Yeah, you've seen a lot of guys, man, that have went from 170 to 185 and found their real weight class and just started. They're on a rocket ship right now, right? And that's probably your case. You're on a 3-fight win streak. How do you see this fight going
look
down?
at, yeah, look at Chris Curtis, look at
Hmm.
Amari Akhmadov.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, all these guys. I mean,
Whitaker, he,
Whitaker. Even I mean, even look at Gastelum and stuff.
yeah,
Like there's a ton of guys.
yeah,
But yeah, I think the move is good.
yeah. It's definitely gonna be good. You've shown it. So what do you see in this fight? How do you see this fun one playing out?
Um, I know he's a tough guy. You know what I mean? So if I start to land some shots and I'm trying to wear on him a little bit, I know he's not going to go away easy. So I could see. I'm always looking for stoppages. I feel like with his training partners and stuff, could be harder to catch him in something like a submission. I know he can take some shots, so I'm thinking like a third round stoppage. It would have to be.
All right. Well, you mentioned it earlier, man. It seems like you are more confident and you feel you believe in the power more with your kicks and your punches. So it could be third round. It could be first round. You don't know, man. Perfect shots land all the time.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. And yeah, I'm not going to go out there and force
Mhm.
anything. I just keep touching him until he goes away. You know.
Perfect, man. April 2nd, XMMA 4, New Orleans, man. I feel like New Orleans is a great place to fight. I don't know why, but it seems like it. Thank you, Zach,
Yeah.
for the time.
Hey, thank you, man. Good talking to you.